There are a number of resources available to you and some classic books. I'm going to take a look at a couple of them today. And the first book that, if you're serious about getting promoted, you've probably seen, you may already own a copy of this. What Colour is Your Parachute? It's a rather whimsical title, but it's a very thought-provoking book. It takes you through a series of exercises and says, stop working on something that you hate and focus on your passions. Try and figure out the kind of role, the kind of organisation that you would love to work for. And, you know, it's very thorough. There are dozens of exercises and short essays. Probably the most famous is the petal exercise, where you describe the preferred kinds of people that you want to work with and what you love to do, your transferable skills. If you don't need to read the material and the stories that go along with it, Richard Bolles, the author, has actually taken out all the exercises and put them in a separate little job hunting guide, a job hunter's workbook. So this, if you like, is the passion approach. Have courage to focus on your passion. Any day not spent working on your passion is a day wasted. And he gives you lots of advice on how to find a job that you're passionate about. Cal Newport, on the other hand, takes quite a different approach. His book, Cal Newport's book, is called So Good They Can't Ignore You. And whereas Richard Bolles in What Colour is Your Parachute talks about find your passion, Cal talks about being so good they can't ignore you. He talks about focusing on career skills. So if follow your passion is bad advice, what should you do instead? Well, Cal Newport says the traits that define great work are rare and valuable. Become great. Become someone who has rare and valuable skills. And he calls these rare and valuable skills career capital. Build your career capital. Build the skills that other people want. And he says the foundation of constructing work you love, you build work you love by acquiring a large store of capital, career capital, skills at the thing that you love doing. And he argues that it's important to adopt what he calls the Craftsman Mindset. Become a craftsman. Focus relentlessly on the value that you offer the world. He introduces a concept called deliberate practice. He says the way to get so good they can't ignore you is to practice. And not just put the hours in, not just show up, actually take time out to practice. And he talks a lot about athletes who study hard and play hard. Chess, he talks about the chess grandmasters. The ones who really succeed aren't just the ones like Garry Kasparov who engage in tournament play. They don't just compete, but they also study. Deliberate practice involves study. And they spend maybe half of their time actually studying to become better. Deliberate practice, Cal says, isn't necessarily comfortable. It's not necessarily something you enjoy doing. And I know this for a fact. My son Chris rows, and every day this week he's up at 6 o'clock to get onto the river to put the hours in. And it's definitely not comfortable. Sorry, Chris. There is a third approach, and I'm surprised even to be talking to you about it. I picked up a book at an airport recently by Reid Hoffman, who's the co-founder and chairman of LinkedIn, the networking service. And by the way, I had ignored LinkedIn for the longest time, but it's a great way of staying connected with people, and it's a very different network and a different community to, say, Facebook, which I also enjoy and also love. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm very happy to connect with you and carry on the conversation there. But Reid Hoffman in this book, also written with Ben Casnocha, it's called The Startup of You. Adapt to the future, invest in yourself, and transform your career. So it's in the same area as these other two books, so these other two areas, the Passion Brigade, the Skills Brigade. But there's something here that intrigues me, because Reid talks about a number of things. And firstly, he says it's about having an adaptive career. He says that the Skills Brigade, the Passion Brigade, would be fantastic if the economy was stable. If if it was very clear that you could invest time, 5 years, 10 years, focusing on your passion, if you could invest 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years building your skills and being patient to develop your skills. But Reed makes the point that the economy changes and is changing dramatically all the time now. Maybe it always was and we didn't notice that, but we'll just park that for now. So he talks about having an adaptive career, being open to the opportunities that come your way. And he also makes, and I think this is the inspired point in this book, in The Startup of You, that instead of on your resume, on your LinkedIn profile, saying my job title or the company I work for, he talks about saying what you are or what you stand for, entrepreneur or expert in whatever it might be, and he talks about treating yourself as an entrepreneurial agency, like a brand, and I suppose to some extent he's part of the personal brand movement. But that isn't why I'm particularly taken with this. I'm particularly taken with the Startup of You because in it he talks about something that I think, okay, he's selling LinkedIn. But he talks about navigating your professional challenges and your career with network intelligence. It's impossible, he says, to know everything about the area of expertise that you already have. It's impossible to learn everything about your particular technical area, your professional area. But the people that you're connected to may already know. So his idea of network intelligence is use your network. And he makes the point that who you know is what you know. In other words, if you can't solve something, but you know someone who can, or you can find them, then you become really valuable to the organization that hires you. It's your network intelligence, how open you are to other people's ideas and how skilled you are in surfing those different areas of expertise. So you do not have to become so good they can't ignore you, but you need to know the people who are so good so that you can actually filter those ideas and that information into the organization that you currently work for. And I love this idea, the idea of network intelligence. Who you know is what you know. It reminds me of my daughter Amelia, who said, yes, Dad, you know, when somebody hires me, they don't just get me, they get my Facebook friends. And I think maybe this current generation who are just on the verge of joining the workforce maybe get this more than I ever did, more than we ever did, more than maybe you ever did. It is about your network. Who you know is what you know. I love that idea. The real value of this book, though, if you do decide to get hold of it, is some of the thoughts in the latter third of the book about how do you get some of that intelligence out of your network? How do you pull that intelligence out of your network? And this spoke very much to my own interests in journalism because it talks about asking questions, posing questions to your network, and not just general questions like help, what do I do now? But actually asking some very specific questions. And he actually gives some tips for asking better questions of your contacts. He talks about converse, have a conversation. Don't just interrogate the people in your network. Ask smart questions. So, for example, he talks about framing and priming. What are the top 3 things you did right in this area, in this example? And then he suggests asking the same person a slightly different question. What 3 things did you not do that you wish you had? And he makes the point, the very human point, that you may well get a useful answer because when people explore the regrets they had, you often get a more honest answer from them. So 3 different approaches to your career, and if you want to get promoted, maybe you need a balanced exploration of the 3 areas. What are you passionate about? What do you want to explore is part of it. What are you already skilled at? How can you become even better? And who do you know? Who's in your network? And how can you leverage? How can you work with? How can you share that information so that you are perceived by the powers that be as someone that they can bring further up the organization? And that, I think, is the missing piece of the puzzle in all of these 3, the passion brigade, the skills brigade, and the network brigade. The thing that I think they miss is they all talk about, to some extent, what you're good at now, what you want to do now. I strongly believe that we need to explore what we want to do, or what we think we are going to be good at in the future. And it's likely that that is not going to be the technical professional skill that you have now. I think it's very likely that you will need to demonstrate your management skills and expertise, and likely management skills and expertise of the next level up from you, or management expertise that you don't even have. So I think that I like the idea of so good they can't ignore you, but not in the area of skills that you currently have, or even that you want to demonstrate at the next level. I think you've got to be so good they can't ignore you at managing, at leading, at bringing on capability in people and capability in the organization where you want to work. I think you need to have network intelligence, not necessarily among technical specialists, but actually among managers or among experts. Call up any business school or university, try and get to speak to some expert on strategy or marketing or leadership. I'm sure you'll actually connect to them or get hold of their information. I think it's about the road ahead. If you want to get promoted, you've got to be prepared for the next step. And it's likely, if you're the kind of person I think you are, if you're connecting to me because you know me or you've seen me speak somewhere, then it's likely that you'll need to get even better, even more recognized as a manager, as a leader, than for your technical professional skills. When people call you, why do they call you? If it's for your technical and professional skills, we're lost, actually. It needs to be very much because you're a great manager, someone capable of turning around a poorly performing team or a division or a business unit or a company. So I need you to think about your leadership skills, your management experience, and how can you become even better at that? How can you become passionate about managing, about leading? How can you become so skilled at managing and leading that they can't ignore you? And is your network, do you have network intelligence in the leadership arena? Are there lots of managers in your personal network? That, I think, that combination will really help you to get promoted over the year ahead. So those are the things I think you should be thinking about. I've got a number of resources in this area, as a lot of the people that I'm working with, the people that I'm coaching, ask me these questions. I've compiled some of these resources together, and there is a link to some of those resources on screen now. Please take a look at some of those resources. If they're helpful to you, please let us know. If there are any gaps, things that you think would be helpful, let us know. That would be fantastic. And then you can help the people who follow you to also make the same kind of transition and have as much success as I know you're going to have in the time ahead. I hope you found this skim useful. Urge you, have courage to think about your transition ahead, but concentrate on boosting, improving your leadership and management skills. I think that's going to be far more useful to you than becoming even better at the skills that you learn at college or at school, at high school, wherever it might have been. Your future is as a manager and a leader, not necessarily as a technical specialist. Hope you got some value from this. I look forward to seeing you again in the next episode. Take care.